What is up, gamers? Squirrely here. Thanks for joining me as always. Today we're talking about something interesting that hasn't really been around for a long time, but I figured I should bring it up because I'm getting flashbacks to the old TF2 outposts, and the old trading, and the old spy crabbing, and I'm thinking, what else was kind of big back then in the heyday or the prime? And I was like, you know what? Brokers. Brokers are really hot for a while, brokering services, people who would hold items, trade them for you. So I figured, hey, we should talk about brokers. I haven't seen them around in a long time, but there was one time where really high-tier traders used them, and actually just kind of everyday traders had brokers they would go to help them sell items. So just to give you guys a quick background, what is a broker? In case you're newer to trading, you probably never seen them, never even heard of it, but it's exactly what any other broker would be. It's someone who helps you sell an item, and they take a small commission for it, or they charge a small fee, something like that. Now you're thinking, why the heck would I want to do that? I have my items, I can just sell them. Well, if you're a busy person, like if you're in school or you're working or you just can't really get on that much to sell stuff, the idea is that you can get a broker. They know how to trade, they're more experienced, maybe they have back premium or TF2 Outpost premium, and they can list lots of things for you, and they'll help you make a trade. So you're not sitting there negotiating with people, you don't have to sit in trade servers, you don't have to be sending trade offers back and forth. Basically, you're just paying for the time, the efficiency, and kind of the experience. Sort of like if you get a real broker, someone who helps you with your stock market or any other kind of investing account. The idea is that you're paying for their experience, their knowledge, and they're saving you money and pain and, basically sweat and tears of having to learn it the hard way. So in TF2, it doesn't work exactly that way, but that's the idea of a broker, basically. It's usually one person, but sometimes they would advertise for, services, and you could pay for different things. But usually it's just one person, and they're helping you sell stuff. So why was it a thing? I mean, trading was super hot, and there's a lot of high-tier items. A lot of people were basically selling and listing lots of different things. I personally never used a broker because I'll kind of go through it in this video. But basically, people would, say, hey, I'll help you sell that really hard to sell item, or I'll help you list a bunch of your items. I'll just take a small cut. So it could have been anything from, they have different percentiles. Like if your item is worth 20 keys or less, and I help you sell it, I get to keep a key, something like that. Or it could be, I take 3% of the total trade or 5%, and you kind of work it out. The thing that's tricky with a broker, though, is there's no real contract. There's not a legal contract where you're signing something or submitting something to a company where it's like, I'm paying for this and I'm getting this. It's very murky and muddy. So it could be, what if they sell your item for something you don't want to sell it for? Or what if they undercut your item and they say, oh, well, it's hard to sell, so I quick sold it. It's like, I didn't want you to quick sell it. Why did you do that? I could have quick sold it. So there's a lot of reasons why you wouldn't want to use a broker, but I'll kind of talk about how it could work. It's still practical today. It's just not as common, but brokers still have their place, I think. It's just not nearly as common as it could be. So, like I said, they're not as viable because we don't really go in trade servers anymore. We don't jump in trade servers and talk and negotiate and go back and forth and have multiple trades open and all this stuff going on. Nowadays, it's mostly, at least for me, I throw things on Outposts, which is about to go down. I don't know if you guys saw my last video, but I did kind of a flashback looking at super old trades from years ago, and it's actually pretty shocking to remember. Like, oh my god, I forgot I was selling max heads for 40 keys and buying earbuds for 20 keys and all this stuff. But anyways, we don't go in trade servers as much. So for me, trading is pretty much listing a ton of stuff on classifieds, putting my trade offer link everywhere, and just basically getting any advertising I can through that, because that auto bumps a lot faster. I'm not going to spend time going in trade servers, especially you have so many things to sell. Now selling spelled items, it's just much easier just list it and leave it there. So for me, there wasn't really a need for a broker. The other thing to think about is that what is a good broker? So you need to find a whole slew of things that work perfectly. They need to be trustworthy, right? And I'm talking years and years of trust experience. Hopefully they have some PayPal trade experience. They've been around. People recognize them. People know they're trustworthy. They got no reason to disappear. They have no reason to steal because they would be in bigger trouble. A lot of times the brokers would be people like, oh, I made a good profit, I made a good sale, I'm brokering now, because they kind of excited because they made a trade and they made some money. Or it could be they come out of the blue and, they get lucky on a spy crab, or they spend some money to buy keys and they get into trading, and now they're all excited and like, hey, I like this trading thing, I could be a broker. But they're in the big picture, they're new. I mean, in my mind, anyone with less than a year of experience is pretty new to trading. I mean, I'm obviously kind of biased because I have 5-6 years of experience, but a lot of the brokers would be people just kind of pop up out of nowhere and they call themselves brokers. And, they say, look how big my backpack is, or look at all these people I'm brokering for, like their friends and stuff. And it kind of draws you in and say, okay, I guess you know what you're doing. Here's my stuff. So you really got to be careful, because not only do you have to find someone who's trustworthy, that's not just going to steal your stuff, or who knows, it could be out of their control. If you get a broker who's young, maybe they get grounded. Maybe their parents pull the plug. Maybe their Steam account gets hijacked. Maybe their parents say, you're uninstalling all your games until you finish school or whatever it is. And then it's like, hey, buddy, you're not online for 3 months. What's going on? You got all my items. Or, even if they're trustworthy, maybe they're not that good at trading. So the other thing is, it's hard to negotiate what exactly you want. Say you get an item, it's worth 100 keys, and that's just to make it easy. Say it's a pretty popular item, like it's a MISC or something like that. And so you tell them, okay, I'll give you, 5% on whatever the sell is. What if they sell it for a bunch of mixed items? What if they get no keys out of it? What if they get 2 high tier items? How are you supposed to break that down and then pay them now? So it gets kind of tricky. Like I said, what if they sell for something you don't want, and that's even harder to sell? What if they sell it for 50 keys or 70 keys, and you're like, dude, why'd you sell it for that cheap? I just lost profit. Now you got to argue, I lost profit and I still got to pay you, and it gets so ugly, and I'd rather just never have to deal with that. When it can work, and it work really well, is if you have a friend, either like in person is perfect, right? Because your friend in person is probably not going to steal your stuff and just disappear. Or someone who you've seen in the trading community for a very long time. So when I did see brokering work is when I had a couple really, really high tier friends back in the day, and they would broker like Burning Team Captains and Chrome Stones and, coffin kits, things like that, or craft number 1 items, things that are going for hundreds or thousands of keys. And the person basically says, I know you, I trust you, you know how to trade, you have a huge backpack too, so there's no point of you to steal this, and then you get marked and you lose all your stuff. So basically, this would usually happen with really high tier traders who are just busy. They got work, they got school, whatever, and they just don't really want to spend the time advertising and negotiating. And basically, it could be a huge hassle if you're trying to sell something really nice or really popular, just because you got so many trades and people interested. They say, oh, I added you to talk, I added you to this, check your trade offer. So for them, it's not a big deal to say, hey, I trust you, buddy, I've known you for years as a trader, take 5% of the final trade, because they're probably still going to make plenty of profit. They don't really care. I would use a broker for that, right? If I really wanted to, and I didn't have time in the evenings, I would use a broker too, but I don't really have that much stuff to sell anymore. But that's an example of when it can work. Someone who you trust, they know how to trade, they've been around for a long time, and basically you want to make sure the person that you're trusting has something to lose. If it's a newer account or they don't have anything in their backpack, how easy is it then for just to take off or pretend, oh, my account got hacked, sorry, I lost all your stuff, there's nothing I can do? Because not like you sign a contract, right? You didn't do anything, there's no legal repercussions. They can just bounce if they want to and then make another account or sell your item on Steam Market or whatever they want to do. So if they have a lot of experience and a lot of rep, that's one thing to make sure they have something that they could lose. And don't trust people that say, oh, this is my trading alt, or oh, this is my brokering alt. It's right. They should be on their main account. No one should be making alt accounts to trade stuff, basically. You can get in big trouble for that. So make sure they have stuff to lose. If they have a big backpack, if they've had a big backpack for a long time, that's good too, because it shows they've been around for a while and they're not just, trading things back and forth or ripping off other people. So it can work. You just have to be really careful with it. So hopefully you guys have a better understanding of what is a broker, what brokering used to be like. You don't really see it as much these days, like I said, but it kind of had its place. How brokers can work, how brokers can't work. Basically, there's a lot of things that could go wrong with using a broker, including, them disappearing, ripping you off, making a bad trade, all that other crazy stuff. So it's not really for most people. I've thought about doing it myself because I have, like 800 or 900 backpack classified listings I can use, and I have premium, so I thought about it, but it's not really worth the hassle of, unless they're really high tier items, it's not really worth the hassle of listing things, negotiating, trading, then going back to the person, saying, here's what I'm going to do. So for me, it's not worth the time and energy to make a couple keys here and there, but for some people, maybe it is. If you have a good friend, someone you trust, you want to cash out, or you just want to get the best deal for your high tier items, brokering can work, absolutely, but it's just like 1% chance that you're going to get a really good broker. You really need to make sure you do a good job. And if you guys have questions about brokering, throw them in the comments. If you're interested in becoming a broker yourself, you can still do it. You just need to stick around and kind of become a trusted figure in the community. But Thank you guys for joining me as always. I love the support. This is YouTube. You know what to do. I have, as you guys know, Scream Fortress Halloween should be coming up pretty soon, which is kind of my favorite time of year. So I have some predictions coming up for that. But thank you guys as always. Maybe I will see you in game. Oh, and one last thing. People have been shouting me out for wanting some gameplay, some commentary. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know. I don't know. To me, it's always felt a little weird. They kind of get excited about silly things when they're pubbing. But anyways, if you guys really want to see game commentary, maybe I'll do some of that stuff. So have a great one. Maybe I'll see you in game. Until then, peace.